Beautifully appointed stadium flies in the face of the Jeremiahs who would have us believe this sport is inevitably on the downslope. This place is on the up and up and bears the look of prosperity. Livingston won here their first Premier game, 2-0, but haven't scored since. And today two key men are absent, Marvin Andrews and Philippe Brinquin. They're out through injury. Into Andrews' place comes John Anderson, along with Gary Bowen, who's back after suspension. But it's up front that the goal-scoring problem exists. David Fernandez, whom Steve Archibald brought to Airdrie, is undoubtedly a skillful player who perhaps lacks a bit of bite in front of goal. Well, he could shatter that notion today. Dundee United have cast off the look of crisis which has hung over them for so long and only make one change from that defeat by Killie. Craig Easton comes in place of Jim McIntyre, which means Alex Smith's side looks stable, certainly at the back, especially in the shape of defender Jamie McCunney, the teenager who sends his manager into raptures about having such ability at such a tender age. Referee today, Tom Brown. Well, I think the evidence also is that teams coming here are going to find it tough. They've played in the last 8 league games here without losing. Last time they lost was to Clyde, and there within 15 seconds Easton is being lectured by the referee. David Bingham going down very heavily indeed. I don't think viciousness, just simply at the start of a game, the adrenaline pumping, which leads so often to mistiming. Miller in again there, couldn't quite get the touch. This is chased by Lilly. That's a very awkward ball. Lilly, defender, had his back to the goal, was finding it very difficult with Lilly bearing down on him. Good aggressive play by United so far. McCunney again, good curving ball that. Well, we have mentioned already the power of United in the air up front. Certainly Lilly and Hamilton together offer that choice, and this time it was Hamilton. He was slightly off balance. You could see how he was falling to his left-hand side, but a good effort by the big fella. Hamilton, he'll get the corner out of that. I think it was always going to be difficult for him going down that left-hand side with the defender between himself and the goal, but he had a decent effort at it. Charlie Miller with it. A lot of curve there. Well defended that time by Stuart Lovell, right in the heart of his own penalty area. That's not a bad shot. Well, they really did thunder that in. Danny Griffin right in the position to let blast. I think just as it left his foot, it was tending to go way to his right-hand side. That wasn't a bad ball, actually. It could have been played back into the path of Hamilton. Fernandez going in after it, did well to get a touch. That's a shot, and goal brilliantly saved by Gallagher, looking directly into the sun. Great effort there by Barry Wilson. Really opened out, and this, as I have said before, really is an amazing goalkeeper. Really has a marvellous future in front of him. Any doubts about it? Watch this again. We saw last time we did United, he really did bring the crowd to the feet as well. That's brilliant by Fernandez. It really is. Hampered by 3 players. Skillful but also strong. Not a bad combination, is it? Well, they've manoeuvred that very well, Livingston. That's a decent ball, and he couldn't get a hold of it. And that, I think, is the other side of Fernandez. We've talked about his skill, but I don't think he's quite the natural goal scorer. Hammered that into the turf. Well, I think they'll be pleased at the way that Livingston have come back into the game. I mean, Fernandes has been highly influential in the way that's happened. Better move there, the more obvious one in the free kick. Now this could be dangerous. Griffin with it. Not a bad one. The goalkeeper had to make sure. That's a really let fly that. A lot of curve in it. He had a previous effort that almost paid off, of course, Danny Griffin. There it is, no, just past. I think it was also a deflection. Yes, it did come off the defender, very close. Here's Lowndes. Hart backs him up. Looking for runs into the penalty area. It comes from Lowndes. Little fleck there. Fernandes! And that's the best effort he's had in the game. Lovely combined move there. Emanating eventually with that little slip to the side by, first of all, Lowndes, then Lowell, and I told you it would be difficult to beat this goalkeeper. It was the angle rather than the strength of the shot that might have made it. Well, no wonder he's got one or two rather harsh words to say. His side dominated the early part of the game and then fallen away. And the half-time whistle does go now. No scoring, very evenly balanced in the sense that United had much of the early part of that first half, and Danny Griffin with their best effort, not all that far off the target. And with this marvellous effort, and against a lesser goalkeeper than Paul Gallagher, it might have counted, but his reputation is steadily rising with saves like that. Half-time score, Livingston 0, Dundee United 0. Well, last week Alex Smith was making the point that he thought he had probably mistimed the preparation for a Sunday game and his players had started off sluggishly. Well, I'll tell you what, they started off very brightly, sprightly, dominated the first 20 minutes and then disappeared from it largely. And I think much of that was to do with the way that Livingston began to dominate in midfield, and they have, no question about it, in Fernandes, the outstanding player on the field by a mile. Good tackling, and now the counter-attack. That's a lovely ball played by Lowndes. Fernandes was screaming for it inside, and they get the corner kick. Now this man can swerve in the corner kicks. Brilliantly saved. That was a great effort there as that ball was swept across. It was Rabiot getting down it, and Gallagher right behind it. Solid save there. Hart. Back to Wilson. Yes, they worked that out very neatly. To be very congested and then manoeuvred it out. Here's Wilson, good play by Livingston. Looking very promising. Al-Joffrey goes with him. That's a decent ball, and Fernandes. Not the tallest man in the field, and coming in as well was David Bingham. And perhaps David Bingham, coming from a wider position, may have been better placed to take it, but Fernandes had to go for it. I think if they've any chance of scoring, I'm not necessarily saying Fernandes will himself score. He possibly could, but if they get the ball to his feet, he'll lay it on to others. There's Wilson again, opens it out nicely. Nathan Lowndes. Wilson. Here's Fernandes. That's great skill again. Beautiful play by Fernandes. It's wide and into the box they go. Looking for the return ball. There it is, and had to be forced for a corner kick. Livingston are dominating this game at the moment. And there it went, forced corner kick. Now Fernandez. A lot of curve in it. There's a free header and Lowndes has got it. Lowndes scoops it away. And they're all in there. Lovell, I think, but I think it certainly was Lowndes, or did Lovell get it? Let's see. Where is the evidence? A lot of curl in this, and it comes. Ball is headed down, and did Lowndes get the scoop? Yes, Lowndes got it, no question about that. So Nathan Lowndes has scored Livingston's first goal since the opening day of the season when they beat Hearts 2-0. There we are, they were celebrating just a few seconds ago, as Jim Leishman certainly knows how to celebrate. I think he's thinking of a change now. Lowndes. Better play by Miller. And he gets it away again. That's a better ball. Here's Hamilton. Can he put it away? Just got in there. Good tackling. And he just lacked that acceleration to get away. You see that long stride of his. He was going to be caught. And the goalkeeper did well, in fact. He was out quickly enough. That was a great chance for United. And for the first time in the game, Charlie Miller had carved out an opening. Fernandez. Great turning by Fernandez. Woody went in strongly though. You almost get the impression he's playing and taunting at the same time with the skill that he has. And the strength. Good covering there by Tosh. Fernandez, beautiful little dummy. In he goes. Touches it in. Surely, no. Couldn't get the touch properly. And, oh, that all emanated from brilliant play by Fernandez again. Sosa gets a first touch very well. Lovely play. Can he cut it back? Oh, too many players in there. Couldn't finish it off. Can he? No! Yes! That's a great goal. Superbly taken. Stuart Lovell certainly took it up so well. All again originating from the move on the left-hand side, broke down to him and he really rattled it in, slightly coming off the outside of his right foot. No chance for the goalkeeper, and that is that. Passing the ball about neatly at this stage, United. And that's not a bad effort. Yes, Al Joffrey coming up on that. This is a mighty smite. And sadly for United, there were so few efforts like that. Fernandez comes off, the man of the match by a long way. Superb skills the man has. Delight to watch. And on comes another foreigner. And Livingston, for all their attaching great faith on youth policy and development academy, like anybody else, have to live in the market and have got to bring foreigners like any other club. It's the way of the world at the moment. And here he gets his first touch of it and his first introduction to Scottish football right on the final whistle. A debut that must be the shortest in living memory for the Argentinian. It doesn't matter. He had these two goals. And the goals, when they came, were very timely. First, that one by Nathan Lowndes from the header by Lovell, which I think at first he thought was going right through, but scooped up and into the back of the net for the first goal. And then, of course, Lovell did get his just rewards, who let fly with accuracy. 2-0, deservedly so. against a United team which, for some odd reason, slipped out of the game after 20 minutes. The final score, Livingston 2, Dundee United 0.
I thought the second half was tremendous. Levy and I spoke about that half time, about having a wee bit more belief in themselves, actually, and I think we came out and they had that. That was tremendous.
I think you have a mix there. You have obviously very hard-working players, but can I mention especially David Fernandez, who's brilliantly skilled and gives you an extra dimension altogether.
Yes, he's a very, in stature he's a small type player, but he's very, very strong, technically very gifted, and he works hard, as you say, he really works hard. But I thought our three midfield players today were absolutely superb as well. They passed the ball well, they kept possession, and they create opportunities for us.
No, I wasn't very happy. I don't think anybody attached to Dundee United today would be happy. We started the game very well. The first quarter and hour, 20 minutes, we dictated the play, but after that, Livingston came into it, and I think in the second half they deserved to win the game.
Have you scored as good a goal as that in a long time?
Well, maybe not. I was quite happy with the finish. I mean, it came at an important time for us because I wouldn't say we were hanging on for grim death, but we'd put a lot into the game, and obviously we were maybe playing a little bit too deep at the back and giving them a chance to throw the ball forward. They're a big side, so they're making it difficult. I think it just helped ease the pressure a little bit.
Yeah, great strike from Stuart Lovell, that second goal for Livingston yesterday, but a great team performance all round. David Bingham is with us here in the studio, and that must have given all the players great satisfaction, David.
Yeah, it was a fantastic strike. It's the first time I've seen it, but at 1-0, the game's never safe, and as Stuart says, you need the second goal to kill teams off, and as I say, what a strike to kill a team off.
And Andy Walker, Livingston just going great guns at the moment.
Yeah, started really well, got themselves into a nice position in the top half of the SPL, and don't see any reason why they can't stay there. I think they've got the players.
And David, a virtuoso performance, I have to say, from David Fernandez.
Yeah, he's a very, very exciting player, and he shows that in training all the time. But he's a great player to have in your team, and when we played Airdrie last year before he joined us, he was always a player to sort of mark out the game, and very difficult too. And as the highlights showed, he's very tricky, but he's also very strong, as the manager said.
Yeah, and he's one of these players that Steve Archibald brought to Airdrie, Andy, and Livingston reaping the dividend.
Yeah, that wee bit of play we saw there, I mean, it's a great technique in holding off the player, using his backside really well, which is a good skill in itself, but he's got great ability outside the box, very creative player, and if he could just add one or two more goals, he'd be much more effective as well.
Does he think himself, David, that he could be scoring more? I know he's a fantastic ball player, but could he get in the box and score more goals?
Yeah, he's probably the first to admit, Jim, that he's not a penalty box player, because you see the work he does outside the box, but he's also very good at running with the ball and creating opportunities for other players. But I think if you ask him yourself, he'll tell you he should score more goals. But again, that's something we could possibly work on in training. So he never sort of tires from shooting in training, so he's prepared to work at his game.
And I think, Andy, we saw in Football First last year, he scored a lot of goals for Airdrie, so he can do it.
Yeah, and the goals he scores are normally spectacular.
Yeah.
Outside the box, volleys, chest control, he's got it all in his locker, but he does get into the box often enough, so maybe just the simple finishes is something he can add to his game, and I think you've got to do that once you step up a league, and you've always got to look to improve your play.
Well, there was nothing spectacular about Livingston's first goal, David, but it was very clever the way Nathan Lowndes managed to get his foot round this and get it in.
That's right. If you see the movement from the front post once the ball's going over his head, he's covered a great deal of ground, and as again, it's a poacher's goal. I think Robbo would be proud of that, getting in front of the goalie. But great reactions, and again, it came at a great time for us just to get us in front.
And by that time in the game, Andy, Livingston had taken control despite a very good start by Dundee United.
Yeah, and it's always important, I think, to get that first goal, as well as Livingston have been playing in recent games. You know, they've had a few 0-0 draws, and that just gives them the lift to go on, and it gives them a bit of a cushion, and they can then pick off teams and hopefully get a second goal, as they did here.
And looking at this goal, David, Dundee United had packed their defence, but there was Stuart Lovell hanging free.
Well, as I say, they've all been attracted to the ball, but I think you could have two goalkeepers in there. I don't think you would have got near that. It was just one of them, as Archie will probably say, that if you connect with it right, it goes in the top corner. If not, it goes out the stadium. But what a great strike, a good player, Archie, and as I say, it's won the game for us.